Offshore powerboat racing is a sport defined by the pursuit of speed and the thrill of navigating the open water at unimaginable speeds. It's a world where the boundaries of human courage and engineering are constantly tested. But behind the glitz and glamour, there lies a darker reality. The lives of those who pushed the limits of the sport, often with no guarantee of survival. These men, driven by a passion for racing, understood the risks they faced on every race course, and yet they still chose to race. Tragically, some of them lost their lives in the pursuit of their dreams, leaving behind a legacy etched in the hearts of those who remember their names. Today, we pay tribute to those who gave everything for the sport they loved. Their stories are a testament to the daring spirit of offshore powerboat racing, a world where every victory is hard-earned and the cost of failure can be steep.
Of Monaco has been killed in a speedboat accident. Stefano Casiraghi, an Italian businessman, was taking part in a world championship race when his catamaran overturned. The couple had 3 children. 8 years ago, Princess Caroline's mother, Princess Grace, was killed in a car crash. Robert Moore at ITN reports.
Seconds before his death, Stefano Casiraghi and his co-pilot were leading the race, travelling at 100 miles an hour, a few minutes out from Monaco. Competitors were close behind the boat when the tragedy happened. Their catamaran had hit a wave and flipped over. Amid the wreckage, the co-pilot of the boat had been thrown clear and was able to swim away. But Casiraghi remained trapped inside, unable to free himself as fellow competitors and helicopters rushed to the scene. Casiraghi admitted Princess Caroline was worried about the risks.
Maybe she's scared when I race, but she knows I like a lot. It's a passion, and when you have a passion, you have to, the life is short, and you have to enjoy your life and doing what you like.
But his death has left Princess Caroline a widow at 33, and Monaco once again a principality in mourning.
In offshore powerboat racing, tragedy strikes without warning or mercy. While advancements in safety have made the sport less deadly, fatal accidents remain a harsh reality. The sheer speed, power, and unpredictability of racing on open waters leave little room for error. Join us as we examine how these devastating accidents happen, from mechanical failures to human mistakes, and the relentless risks racers face every time they take to the water.
You can see Jesse James upside down in the water as we take the shot from Chopper 1. Jim, it looks like both of the driver and the navigator got out of it okay.
The boat looks like it's riding perfectly, and all of a sudden catapults off a one-roller, completely airborne, lands stern first, then does a little chine. Now it starts to hook to the left, and a roller assists it. He couldn't fight the wheel back to the right, so he hooks to the left, upside down in a roll.
Chris Lavin got lucky in this accident, leaving the race unharmed. Only a few years earlier, he'd lost his brother Mark in a similar accident, which he recounts.
We went out hard, tried to separate ourselves from the rest of the pack, and we were running with maybe the top 3 or 4 boats. As we ran the sand key, conditions were a little bit rougher. We hit a sort of a freak large wave that the boat launched off of, and then stuffed into an even bigger wave, and the boat ran maybe 100 feet underwater. And in that incident, Mark's life was lost.
Mark was an innovator in offshore safety design. Mark will be greatly missed.
Back into the fray now. Factory 1 class. Accelerator. Hanging down on the ragged edge now. A little chine walking because he's got that boat trimmed up very, very loosely. Trying to scrub any amount of speed he can to take over the pack.
Chine walking is a dangerous instability that occurs in high-speed offshore powerboats, particularly with deep V hulls. It happens when the boat's hull begins to sway side to side at high speeds, caused by improper trim, excessive speed, or hull design. The boat alternates between lifting and falling back into the water, creating a rocking motion. If not corrected, Chine walking can lead to loss of control or even crashes. To prevent it, racers can adjust the boat's trim, control throttle carefully, and modify the hull for better stability. This phenomenon is one of the most common causes of accidents in offshore racing.
You can tell what's on their mind, Jim. Take the turn easy. Don't spin this boat. Don't barrel roll this boat. I'm begging you.
The boat kind of goes where it wants to go. I know. Punch it. Come on, dude.
Now, once they get straightened out, they can punch it, get back on the gas. But going through those turns, you have to be so cautious.
The F1-3 Outlaw, third in class and getting a good race. They're leaders in the manufacturer high points, another hometown team, but this hull had a mishap last time we were here. Watch. Was that quick? Just like that, Blink, and this hull tossed its crew of that time right into the Hudson River. They look like they're in pretty smooth water on this side of the course. They don't look like too bad. A little Chine walked. Whoa, I spoke too soon.
These boats are not that heavy, and they will get aired out. Then we're on board with Outlaw.
Okay. Make a nice turn.
Make a nice turn, he says.
That's very important. These guys have been talking about that all day long. They're aware.
Easy.
Oh, no, not again. Oh, my goodness.
Did they do that?
The same hull once again. Outlaw just disposed of its. Oh, my goodness. They came close to getting run over there, too. Mike, let's go back and watch this in slow motion.
Same hull, same river, same action. Watch. Bingo from the onboard camera. Suddenly, they're gone. And he's the boat that had to swing wide.
Yeah, that was close, Jim.
Yep. Good driving.
They got their thumbs up.
Yeah, the thumbs up. They're okay. That's a good sign.
Suddenly faced the stark reality of powerboat racing.
Stuffing in offshore powerboat racing is a dangerous phenomenon that occurs when a boat catches air after launching off a wave. During this moment, the bow of the boat lifts, leaving the propellers as the primary point of contact with the water. When the propellers hit the water while the boat is still airborne, they create a forward pitching motion. This can force the boat's bow to dive into the water at a sharp angle, often at high speeds. This situation can lead to catastrophic outcomes, including severe damage to the boat, potential capsizing, or injury to the pilots. Stuffing incidents are among the most hazardous scenarios in offshore racing, as the abrupt deceleration and impact can cause serious harm, even with modern safety measures like reinforced cockpits and pilot harness systems. Pilots and crews are trained to anticipate wave patterns and adjust their boat's trajectory to avoid such incidents, but unpredictable water conditions make stuffing a persistent risk. The Victory team, based in Dubai, is an iconic name in offshore powerboat racing, boasting 14 Class 1 World Powerboat Championship titles since its 1980s debut. Despite its success, the sport's risks have led to tragic moments, including the 2009 Dubai Grand Prix crash. During the race, pilots Jean-Marc Sanchez, a former 2007 world champion, and Mohammed Al-Mahiri, the 2009 European Class 1 champion, flipped their boat at high speed. Both were airlifted to a hospital but did not survive.
One of the procedures each driver has to go through every year is the dunk test.
For everyone in this sport, the danger is very real.
Capsizing refers to the event when a boat overturns in the water, often due to high speeds, challenging sea conditions, or abrupt maneuvers. It can occur when waves strike the boat at an unfavorable angle, destabilizing it, or when excessive speed during a turn causes loss of balance. Aerodynamic forces can also contribute, as powerful boats may become airborne and flip if not controlled properly. Capsizing poses significant safety risks to crews, requiring advanced safety protocols such as enclosed cockpits and emergency egress systems.
Bobby Kaiser, Excalibur, Dalia, they've all stopped. See the pace boats out here trying to help. The guys are out of the boat. They seem to be all right.
Because I've lost about 3 friends, and then we've had 13 or 14 casualties here in the last 3 or 4 years.
Bob Kaiser, a prominent offshore powerboat racer, was known for his readiness to assist fellow racers during accidents. He was recognized for stopping races to render aid to competitors in distress. This practice, though rare in competitive racing, demonstrated his strong commitment to safety and sportsmanship. Kaiser's actions earned him respect within the offshore racing community as they highlighted his prioritization of the well-being of his peers over personal victories.
Oh my, will you look at this? Oh, Gentry, Turbo Eagle, Bob Kaiser, and Errol and here on the beach, literally, and this describes the type of year they've had. Here's some of the other boats that are on the beach today, and they're out of the race. We've had high attrition, Art.
3 in open and 3 in pro, including the national champion, High Risk. But Bob Kaiser has to figure out how to get that craft off the coral.
Going to the turn in second place behind Team Abu Dhabi. Oh, they've hooked it! Relecta has spun out. Fuzza has nowhere to go and drives straight over the top of them.
Hooking refers to a dangerous maneuver where the boat unexpectedly veers sharply to one side, usually due to a loss of control or improper handling of the steering. This often occurs when a boat's hull or trim is not aligned properly with the water, or when it hits a large wave, causing the boat to suddenly turn or veer off course. Hooking can be a result of uneven distribution of weight, excessive throttle, or sudden steering inputs that throw the boat off balance. When hooking happens, the boat can lose traction on one side of the hull, causing the boat to fishtail or even flip. The instability generated by this maneuver is risky, especially at high speeds, as it may lead to crashes or ejections of the crew members. In some cases, the boat can even spin out, violently twisting before recovering or overturning completely. Rockie Aoki, the founder of the famed Benihana restaurant chain, had a daring offshore powerboat racing career that was as thrilling as it was perilous. His racing exploits were marked by numerous accidents, the most infamous being a near-fatal crash in 1979 under the Golden Gate Bridge. This devastating accident left him with severe injuries and required a blood transfusion, during which he reportedly contracted hepatitis C. Despite the setback, Aoki's passion for the sport drove him to continue racing. However, a second serious crash in 1982 ultimately forced him to retire, bringing an end to his high-speed pursuits on the water.
A total loss. We caught fire about 100 miles into the race, and we were in the lead, and the engine blew up, causing the fuel injection system to blow off the side of the outboard. And when that happened, with 40 psi, the fuel just caught on fire, and it was very, hot fire, and it went right through the boat, causing the boat to just catch flames, and we just couldn't fight it fast enough. And it was a total loss. It's really a sad way to end the season.
Sad but not fatal, thank goodness. Safety equipment is of prime importance on a race boat. Jim asked Don Harrington to explain how the proper use of a fire extinguisher can be a great asset.
Don, exactly. This looks like an octopus. What is it?
Well, it's a system for outboards, and this is configured up to show that you can handle up to 3 engines. This dispersion nozzle goes right inside the shroud cover, and when you pull this cable right here, you will dump halon into all 3 engines, and it will put the fire out. There's also a pressure switch on here, which you can hook your electric fuel pump through, so that in the event you discharge the system, you will automatically shut down the fuel pump so you can't have fuel flowing and burning on you.
And it'll take care of the fire instantly?
It'll take care of the fire instantly and cleanly. There'll be no mess, and there'll be no damage to the engines.
But as they cross the line, a very serious incident happens close behind them, as 2 boats from different classes collide. This is an inexplicable accident in the normal course of racing. Luckily, it did not prove to be fatal.
As offshore powerboat racing evolved, race circuits became smaller and more compact to enhance spectator visibility and engagement. However, this design shift increased the risk of collisions as boats raced in closer proximity at high speeds. The smaller multi-lap formats introduced sharp turns and tighter spaces, leading to more opportunities for contact between vessels. In offshore powerboat racing, collisions with competitors are not the only risks. Environmental factors also pose significant dangers. Boats can collide with debris floating in the water, marine life, despite surveillance by helicopters, as well as natural and artificial hazards like reefs, sandbanks, and submerged structures. A tragic example occurred on September 17, 2019, when Fabio Buzzi, a legendary offshore powerboat racer and designer, crashed near Venice, Italy during an attempt to break the Monte Carlo to Venice speed record. Buzzi, along with Luca Nicolini and Eric Horn, was aboard a high-performance vessel that struck an artificial reef at the entrance to the Venice Lagoon. Traveling at approximately 92 miles per hour at night, the boat launched into the air upon impact, landing stern first on the other side of the reef. The accident claimed the lives of all three aboard, including Buzzi, who was 76 years old at the time. Buzzi's contributions to the sport were unparalleled. He was the founder of FB Design, a company that revolutionized powerboat engineering and held more than 50 world championships and 40 speed records. The tragedy marked the end of a remarkable career and legacy in the world of offshore racing. In offshore powerboat racing, the risks of racing catamaran hulls versus deep V hulls differ significantly due to their designs. Catamarans, with their twin hulls, excel in stability and speed on calm waters, but are more prone to stuffing or flipping in rough conditions due to their flat bottoms and wide beams. Deep V hulls, with their sharper angles, cut through waves effectively and provide better control in choppy seas, but generally sacrifice top speed for stability. While catamarans demand precise handling to avoid catastrophic accidents at high speeds, deep V hulls pose their own dangers, especially during high-speed impacts or improper wave landings.
Okay, and he certainly made the right decision this morning when he picked that particular boat for these waters.
Well, Ben Kramer, he's a shrewd operator, Chris. He knows boat racing. He knows what the conditions are he's going to be faced with, and he's a cagey veteran. He knows how to do it.
In 1986, Ben Kramer and Bob Saccenti crashed during an offshore race in Rochester, New York, while piloting an Apache catamaran. The high-speed boat suffered a catastrophic stuffing incident with the bow burying into the water at extreme speed. Saccenti sustained a life-threatening basal skull fracture, but miraculously survived. Before this, the team had raced deep V hulls for years without serious accidents.
Bob Saccenti, look at the arm of Bob Saccenti, the magic throttle arm. It's right in on that throttle arm, Phil. Show us how it's done, Bob. We're sitting here, yeah, the Apaches are taking scalps today. They're not taking any prisoners, I guarantee you. They're showing us how it's done. I haven't heard them wing those engines one time, and this is rough throttling at 90 miles an hour, folks.
Mike Fiore, founder of Outerlimits Offshore Powerboats, tragically died after a crash at the 2014 Lake of the Ozarks shootout. While throttling a 42-foot catamaran at 170 miles per hour, the boat flipped end over end, a crash attributed to wind lift. Fiore, 44, was airlifted to a hospital, but later died from surgery complications, leaving the racing community devastated. A husband and father of 3, he was renowned for his contributions to offshore racing. Hydroplanes frequently flip due to their high-speed design and the challenging conditions they race in. Their flat hulls provide speed but make them unstable in rough waters, where unexpected turbulence or miscalculations can easily cause them to become airborne. The high power-to-weight ratio and sensitivity to throttle or weight shifts further increase the risk. Combined with choppy waters, these factors make flipping a common hazard in the sport.
127.3 mile an hour for Team USA number 50, a new single lap world record.
And yesterday we visited with Team USA's Richie Powers inside the cockpit of that machine.
I'm going to try and give you people a bird's eye view of what happens in the cockpit. I know that everybody has always asked me what exactly is your job and what goes on in the cockpit between Don Johnson and myself. Well, what I do is I monitor the tachometers, which we have our tachometers up here. I monitor our fuel pressure gauges. If at any point in time the fuel pressure drops below 7 pounds, we have a major problem with the motor. Down here, all the controls to start the motors. All the fuel pump switches must be turned on when you start the motors. Once everything is started, I control the throttles with these pins. I put the pins in such so that I actually operate 2 throttles with 1 handle. Both throttles are pinned together. Then the next most important thing that I have to look after is my trim controls. These are all hydraulic apparatuses, which I have 4 stern drives hydraulically operated, very much like your pleasure boats. I have to coordinate those with these 2 red buttons, which are master controls for one side of the boat opposed to the other side of the boat. I have outside afterplanes, which controls the attitude of the boat on this specter. And also I have tunnel tabs, which really corrects the lift of the tail on the boat. And the difference between running these stern drives trimmed all the way in and trimmed all the way out is probably 20 to 25 miles an hour. The absolute ultimate optimum position is marked on there with a level mark so that you know where your optimum is all the time and you pretty much stay in that area. So it's kind of a breakdown of what happens. Naturally, we have our speedometers, which are very, very essential to keep your average speeds up.
Richie Powers and Tom Gentry were involved in a catastrophic accident during the 1994 Key West World Offshore Championship when their boat flipped at high speed. Powers escaped using emergency oxygen, but Gentry suffered severe injuries, resulting in a coma that lasted over 3 years until his passing in 1998. Gentry was a legendary offshore racer, winning 5 world championships and 4 U.S. national championships. In 1989, he partnered with Don Johnson for a championship win and set a transatlantic speed record of 62 hours, earning the title the fastest man in offshore. To die in the pursuit of excellence is to offer oneself to a cause greater than self, embodying a noble sacrifice that transcends mortality. For in the act of striving relentlessly, without regard for safety or survival, the individual becomes part of something timeless, honoring the journey itself over the destination.
And the Catamaran team skater gouged a wave, rose suddenly, uncontrollably, and flipped. Its driver, the reigning national champ, 37-year-old Kevin Brown, died instantly of massive head injuries. In motorsports, tragedy strikes without conscience, and it is only vanquished if the race continues on.